Sarah Marie, what a great subject for your video tonight. Pets. I'm actually glad I brought it up, and mainly because I like to talk about the animals that I've had during my life. And I have had a long list of animals growing up. And actually it's such a long list that I actually had to write them all down just to make sure that I could talk about them all. So this may just end up being a very long video response. So bear with me here. But the first pet that I ever had was Happy. He was a Beagle Collie mix, I believe. It might have been a Beagle Sheltie, but it's like the Lassie type dog. And we had Happy when I was just like 4 years old. We moved into a house in Winter Park right here in Orlando, and there was a lot of woods in the area right nearby. And one day, me and my brother and my two sisters were traipsing through the woods, and Happy would always go with us. But this particular day, he was running along this trail in front of us, and he ran into a rattlesnake. And of course, being the brave little dog that he wasn't going to let the snake get near any of us kids, so he attacked the snake. And it was a pretty big rattlesnake. It was probably 3 or 4 foot long, and Happy got bit. And sad to say, the snake just took off. So we snatched Happy up and ran him back to the house. And all I really remember, being so young, was that Dad kept him on a blanket in the driveway of the front yard there. And poor little dog was just, crying and howling and everything because he was in terrible pain. So my dad was like, y'all go back in the house. And he took the dog out in the woods and put him down. Which may sound kind of cruel nowadays because usually you euthanize animals. But at the time, this was a long time ago, and it seemed typical to put an animal out of its misery when it was suffering. So we lost poor Happy. Not a great story. And the next animals I had, right after this, the kids got on Mom and Dad to get us some cats. So we got 2 cats. We had a Sarge, which was a tabby cat, and we named him Sarge because on one of his upper arms he had like 3 stripes going one way and 3 stripes the other. So it seemed the perfect name. And we also had a little female cat named Boots, and she was a black and white cat, and she had 4 white paws, which looked like boots, so we named her Boots, and she was kind of my favorite. I think the one story that really sticks in my mind with Boots is one day I was playing around with her, and she was still a kitten, and she was underneath like the couch, and I stuck my face down underneath the couch, and she reached out with her little claw and clawed me right in the nose, and it got caught. And I started screaming because I was only like 5 or 6 or something, and the cat freaked out and tried to get away, and the claw was caught, and it just tore my nose up. My mom came running in the room. She's like, what the hell's going on? It was a ruckus, and she went over and grabbed the cat's paw and pulled it out of my nose, and I was bleeding all down my face and crying. And of course, Mom would say something like, what were you doing sticking your face under the couch? That wasn't very smart. She sure knew how to make you feel better when you were hurt. But we actually lost Boots. He ran away from home. And we lost Sarge just a couple of months later when we went to move. I think the cat kind of got freaked out because we had everything all boxed up. And we just lost him, and we never found him. So we lost both those cats. These are great stories, aren't they? And then the next animal we had was Cherie, which is a little black toy poodle that my mom got from my Aunt Shirley, who actually raised dogs herself. And that dog was my mom's dog. You know how dogs or cats will pick their owner? Well, she loved my mom best. And we had Cherie for like 10 years. And Cherie, she started going blind in both eyes from cataracts, and she got sick. And we went to move from Key West up to DeLand, Florida. And my mom was like, well, we can't take a blind dog to a new place. So she took her and had her put down. And when she came back, she didn't tell us about it. And then she came back to the house, and we're like, where's Cherie? And she's like, well, I had her put to sleep, and we were going to complain, but Mom was crying more about that dog than any of us, so we just had to let Cherie go. Another sad story. All my stories are just a depressing video, isn't it? Let's see. The next animal I had, this was a couple years later. It was probably the longest drought between animals, and I had a little cat named Misty. It was kind of an orange and white cat, and had kind of a mist color to the fur, hence the name. And I had her for like 6 months, and then my parents moved to a new apartment complex, and they didn't allow pets. So I had to give Misty up, and my mom gave Misty to this lady that she knew from work. So I lost Misty. Well, I don't have any happy stories so far here. And then it wasn't long after that it was my birthday, and my sister brought me a cat for my birthday. And that particular evening I was out at a friend's house because he was throwing a birthday party for me. So my sister came over unannounced, and I didn't realize it. So she just left the cat, and I came home like 1 in the morning, and I opened the door real quick, kind of half drunk, and there's Misty sitting on a chair, or Ollie sitting on a chair right near the front door, and he was like, oh, all scared, and he looked up at me, and I was like, oh, you're so cute. And I went in the back room and changed clothes and everything, and came out. When I came out in the living room, he'd gotten down off the chair and was like halfway across the floor, and he like froze when I came out into the living room. He was so scared, being a new place and everything. But I took him into my room, and he was my cat. You know, that cat picked me over everybody else in the house. And I had Ollie for like a year, and we made the mistake of letting him outside before taking him to the vet, and he got into a fight with some other cats and caught feline leukemia. And he was pretty healthy for about 3 years there, and then he got really sick, and we had to put him down. And I cried more when that cat died. I think I said this in another video. I cried more when that cat died than when either of my parents died. That cat was my baby. Ollie was my baby. And funny thing, Sara, when I first got Ollie, I didn't name him Ollie. I named him Ozzy, after Ozzy Osbourne. But I ended up switching it to Ollie because my dad liked the old Laurel and Hardy comedy, and he'd always say Ollie in the comedy series. So I ended up naming him Ollie. But he was a great cat. And it's funny, you know, when that cat died, I remember the night after we took him home and buried him in the backyard. I remember in my room trying to sleep, and I couldn't sleep, and I ended up crying. And I had pains in my chest. I guess it was heartache. I'd never experienced that before or since, that you could actually be so attached to an animal or a person or something that when they're gone, you just feel the pain of heartache. Yeah, it was really devastating for me to lose that animal. And to this day, if somebody says to me, you know, I don't really like animals, or I get to know someone and I realize they don't like animals, that's it. That's it for that person. You gotta love animals. I know I'm an animal lover. And after Ollie, I had another cat named Flossie Jane, which I named after a cat that my mom had. And Flossie was a great cat. And I had her for 15 years. She had a nice long life. And right as my dad was passing away in '99, like the last week before he died, this cat would lay on the bed with him, and she wouldn't leave his side. I mean, she'd go out to use the litter box and eat and stuff, but she'd go right back to the bed and lay there with my dad. It's like she sensed that my dad was close to passing. It's funny how animals can have that extra sense. They know what's going on, you know, even if they're not intelligent like us, they know what's going on around them. So she was there with my dad till the very end. And then a funny thing later, like when she passed away, she passed away right as Hurricane Francis was blowing across the state of Florida. And Francis just happened to be my dad's middle name. which, that's kind of weird, isn't it? But, oh crap, I'm over 10 minutes in this video. Well, thank God I got one more cat left, and right after I lost Flossie, like maybe less than 6 months later, my roommate got a cat that we shared for about 6 years, and his name was Jake. And that's the cat that you can find in my videos here on my channel, Jake the cat. And he was a great cat, and I taught him tricks and stuff. And unfortunately, when my roommate and I went separate ways, Jake was his cat, so Jake went with him. So I don't get to see Jake anymore, but he's still alive and well. But he was the last pet that I've had. So, holy crap, this is almost 11 minutes. Nobody's going to watch this video. It's just way too long. But hopefully a few of you will. I hope I didn't depress you people too bad with all my dying animal stories, but I'm just a huge animal lover. So, good DUD tonight. I probably could have made 2 videos out of this, Sara, but I cram it all into one. Talk to you later. Bye.